My name is Sari van Pooijen. I'm the director of Intact Academy. We give training programs for coaches, consultants, and leaders to become skilled coaches. So individual coaches, team coaches, and supervisors of coaches. You can find all that information on the website, www.intactacademy.com. I also run a business called Agile Business Innovation, where we help businesses innovate more quickly than their products. You can find that information on www.agilebusinessinnovation.com. We're talking about team coaching and the different levels of team coaching. And now we're talking about group Imago and how that works and how that influences a team. We talked about group Imago as the mental image of what a group is or should be like, that you carry with you from other experiences and really archaic experiences as well, and wishes, things you missed probably in your family of origin, we would say within transactional analysis. Now, there's a theory about how group Imago develops, and Eric Berne ran therapy groups, psychotherapy groups. He was a psychiatrist. So his idea of group Imago is kind of tilted through his experience as an institutional leader and as someone who ran psychiatric groups. Nonetheless, it's really irrelevant for team coaching. A group Imago is something we carry inside us at an unconscious level. So as a team coach, it's pretty hard to see what's going on unconsciously unless you look at the effects of behavior, or if you bring in exercises which are non-verbal. If you ask people to draw, if you use family constellations, if you do exercises around how was your family, how do you want this family between brackets to be. In any case, Eric Berne said that as the group Imago, the picture you have inside, becomes more adapted to the reality of the group, you are more in synchronization with reality, the more you can work from your adult ego state position. So the more you adapt that mental image of what it should be like to what it is, the more you are able to work from a position of power and potency. As long as you have a gap between how it should be in your mind and what it is, you're working from a position that is really based on a wish, a hope, and a dream. The more friction there will be between what it should be, according to you, and what it is, the more energy you spend on that intrapsychic adjustment, the less energy there is to work in reality. So, in his idea about how you develop that group Imago inside, he said there were 5 stages. Sometimes people mix that up with Tuckman stages of the formation of groups. That's not completely, relevant in this case. Tuckman made an idea of how groups form, but was talking about the development of the structure of a group. Berne talked about the development of the internal imago. So how does your image adjust itself slowly to reality? In his theory, Berne talked about provisional imago first. So a provisional imago is really based on fantasies, on the need to belong, on the need for safety, which is primary. The need to belong and the need for safety is really one of the primary drivers of belonging to a group. And then he talked about, this provisional imago is really based on your life script. We can talk about that later, because life script is really important. We say, you get the group you deserve. It sounds very unkind, but in a sense, you're always scanning the environment to belong to groups that fit with your imago, with your primary idea, your story of what a group is. As you start to adjust and really get into this group, you say, hey, I've got this image, but the group is a little bit different than I thought. And your imago is based on, first of all, your relationship with the leader. That's most important. When you come into any group, you first look at the leader. What's my relationship, my distance, my similarity or difference to the leader? It's only afterwards you start noticing there are other people in the group as well, so, but this is our general sense, is that we create that attachment to leader. And Berne said this is really the basis of the second stage of adaptation of your imago. He called that, aptly enough, the adapted imago. And he said there you start to see a disagreement about the process in the group, some sort of agitation. You start to see, do I really fit? And that's a really important step in the adaptation of imago, because in this friction between your image and what the group is, you start to create identity, your group identity, and you start to realize what the identity of the group is. Berne then talked about a third stage of the development of imago, and he called that the operative imago. And in that operative imago, you see a kind of negotiation start between what you think it should be and what the group is. So people start to actively, beyond challenging, say, could we do it differently? And in that stage of adaptation, it's really important to bring that negotiation to the surface and to realize that you have a wish and a need to belong, and there is a group, and that this belonging question is actually a two-sided negotiation. Sometimes people forget that. So it's you negotiating, if I want to belong to this group, there have to be some changes. But vice versa, it's also the group saying, hey, are you adapting enough for us to accept you as a member? So in this operative imago stage, you really see this two-sided, this bilateral negotiation going on. After this negotiation, Berne talked about a fourth stage of group imago development, so your internal mental picture, and he called that, aptly enough, secondary adjustment of imago, where you see that people are starting to focus, their energy not towards this internal interpsychic process of adaptation, but more to the outside. So they're starting to send their energy towards goal achievement and problem solving. It's at this stage where you see more collaboration in a group. So collaboration in group is not only the result of a healthy structure or of good cohesion at the relational level, it's also the sum total of adjustment that people have done so that they can say, okay, listen, I brought this image into this group. We've kind of negotiated that I'm ready to cooperate with you. You see the same thing in marriages, the first 6 months is kind of, people are so in love, it's all pheromones and everything is going to be different this time. And this is the way people enter groups as well. They go, oh, I've lived through that. It's going to be different here. And then they realize actually some things are the same, some things are different. And then you negotiate and then you go, okay, this is possible. We can do this together. The fifth stage of group imago adaptation is called clarified imago. And Berne really said by this time, people are ready to work fully or leave the group because they've done their interpsychic work. You have to remember that Berne worked in psychotherapy groups. So his idea was that by the time people have clarified their imago, they start to get bored because there's no friction anymore between their internal fantasy of what a group should be like and the reality. And by the time people are completely adapted to reality in a psychotherapy group, they're ready to leave. In a work group, of course, once people have a clarified imago, they're ready to work and celebrate success because, their energy is not only caught in that interpsychic adaptation, but they're working outside with real people with a real image of what the group will be like. If people have not clarified their imago by the time the group finishes, you often see goodbyes that are quite distorted. So people have regrets, or people haven't fully worked through the relationships in a group. And so some of that hangs around. You can really tell when people are working in a team with clarified imagos if their goodbyes are as good as their hellos. So with that, I want to ask you, how are you doing? What stage are you in terms of clarification of your imago? Are you already adapting your imago, of what the group should be? Are you already negotiating explicitly for, if I really want to belong, this is minimally what has to change? Are you already focusing your energy more outward towards goal achievement than inward towards this holding on to what a group should be? And are you ready to let go in the clarified imago? Let me know.